don't get left behind. And I'm not talking about that cheesy, super corny Kirk Cameron film. I'm talking about college football, conference realignment. The last thing you want to do is end up like the Pac-12. Let's talk about it. My name is Aaron. This is the Daily Huddle, your one-stop shop for everything when it comes to sports, rumors, insights, analysis, whatever it might be. We're going to talk about it here, but before we get started, hit that subscribe button, like it, and at some point I'll ask you to comment below, so do me a favor and do that. Love the dialogue. Want to talk to you. Let's get into it. So if you guys haven't heard, it was media day for the Big 12 out in Vegas, and there's been rumors swirling when it comes to the Big 12 conference. We've seen that already last year. The Pac-12, pour one out for the Pac-12. RIP, Pac-12. Pac-12 just got annihilated when it came to conference realignment. Everyone abandoned ship, except for Oregon State, Washington State. You guys, real ones. Not that you weren't trying to leave, but hey, you went down with a ship. Good for you guys. But that being said, a ton of people left the Pac-12, either going to the Big 10, going to the Big 12, trying to figure that all out. Now the next step in this whole crazy money debacle when it comes to revenue for schools and all these different things comes down to the ACC. Now we look at Florida State, Miami, Clemson. Those are North Carolina. Those are kind of the big dogs. You could even throw Duke in there when it comes to basketball, but those are kind of the big dogs when it comes to the ACC conference. Now, we're going to jump right into this article talking about rumors, potential. I think this is interesting right here. It says 6 ACC schools. What's interesting, it lists a few. We're going to have to speculate on kind of the other ones, who would go with who. But the big dogs obviously being Clemson, Florida State, Miami. I've even seen rumors of Notre Dame. Gosh, I hate Notre Dame. If you're a Notre Dame fan, please still subscribe. Just know I'm a Michigan State fan. Can't stand them. But that being said, you're in the Midwest. You're in South Bend, Indiana. You're not on the Atlantic coast. Sorry, I digress. You're sitting here, okay, and you're telling me that LA is a Midwest team and they're in the Big 10? Yeah, okay, I'll give you that one. But so we look at it. Florida State, Clemson, at some point they saw this whole realignment happening and they wanted to jump ship as well, either to the Big 10 or the SEC. And a big reason is because of revenue. So we're just going to jump over here real quick. We look at, now this is a couple years ago, but the Big 10 revenue, $60 million per team. Now, obviously, that's going to be a little up. And then $51 million for the SEC. That is wild. That is a lot of money. And the ACC, I want to say in that same year was in the $40 million range, so still less. But what is crazy with this whole thing right now is the last teams to join, let me jump to it, this awesome picture right here. The last teams to kind of jump on board with the Big 10 were Oregon and Washington. And the revenue contract that they have with the Big 10 isn't even close to that. They have teams like Rutgers, Purdue, Northwestern that are making boatloads more money than these schools, but they saw the ship sinking. Golly, Aaron, you are an idiot. And they decided to get out regardless of the situation, the money that they were going to take. They knew they were going to make something better at the Big 10, and eventually down the road they'll be able to renegotiate that contract and make more money. But they had to abandon ship, as well as other teams. These teams in the Big 12, they saw that coming, and they decided, hey, we gotta bounce. So like Arizona State, Colorado, they're joining back into the Big 12. All is right in the world there. Teams like Utah, so they all, decided, hey, we got to leave. Now, what's funny too when we talk about this in the ACC, I just want to bring this up, but SMU, their agreement is literally they are not taking any revenue. I can't remember for how many years, but they literally are like, okay, we're bouncing out of this Group of 5 conference. We're going to head to a Power 5 conference in the ACC. Listen, we had that death penalty back in, I believe, the 70s, and we are finally rising from the ashes, and we are going to be in a Power 5 conference, only to possibly see that Power 5 conference crumble and fail, much like the Pac-12. But I digress. So they wanted to join the Big 10 or the SEC because that's where all the money's at currently, but they understand, hey, The ACC, is it going to last? Is it what happened to the Pac-12 going to happen to them? So they are rumored to be in talks right now with the Pac-12, golly, Big 12. I'm struggling today. And so the question will be, who will be on there? What teams will that be? Now, again, we look over at the conference, we look at the ACC, and in the ACC, my guess for sure would be you're going to have the big dogs. Especially football is the moneymaker. I know a lot of people are like, well, what about Duke? Yeah, we'll talk about Duke. But when it comes down to it, the big moneymaker is football. Football, cream of the crop, brings in the cash, rolls it in. There's a reason that when you saw, I hate bringing this up, but during COVID, a lot of programs struggled. A lot of athletic programs struggled at schools, and that is because you had a lot of teams that weren't playing football or waited to play football, and that's where a lot of their revenue comes from. So all these people that were arguing, they're always upset, well, why does football get the most money? It's because they make the most money. That's what it is. Most people want to watch that. Basketball makes good money, but I will tell you what, football is king. So when it comes down to it, Clemson, Florida State, for sure. Yep. Miami, I would say is probably going to be in that conversation just because you have one of the best rivalries in college football. Past years, it hasn't been great, but it is a tried and true in-state rivalry between Florida State and Miami. So I think they're going to be connected. Virginia Tech is a possibility there. I think that would be really big. So let's just say we have those four. If we added two more, my guess would be, just because it's a great pairing, would be Duke in North Carolina. That would be my guess. Again, Duke, North Carolina, when it comes to college football, not the best. Yes, you have Mac Brown at North Carolina. He, I would argue, is past his prime. He's had some great recruiting classes, but has been, in my opinion, underperforming based on those recruiting classes that he's gotten in there. So that would be my guess. It'd be Clemson, Florida State, Miami, Virginia Tech, and then probably Duke, North Carolina, just because it's a pairing. Now, there's also been rumors as well that if UNC and Virginia don't go there, then the SEC would potentially try to go grab them. The question would then be, okay, well, who are all the teams that are going to the Big 12? Who is going to jump ship from the ACC to the Big 12? Because again, you don't want to split that pairing. I don't feel like UNC necessarily wants to try to split that pairing. But you look at Washington, their big in-state rivals, Washington State, peace out. They don't care. They're still playing. Oregon State, and same with Oregon. So they left, do not care. And then you look also as well, we're going to go to the SEC, Oklahoma and Texas, they left a lot of rivalries in the Big 12. And so when it comes down to it, sure, down the road, they'll figure them out. But in the meantime, cash talks, it sings, and it's going to lead you in the right direction. So I want you to comment below, who do you think, and maybe I just can't find the article, who do you think will jump ship from the ACC to the Big 12? Do you think it's just rumors just to get maybe the Big 10 and the SEC involved? Again, I've also read multiple things that the Big 10, look at how big it is done at the moment. You have 18 teams. They're probably going to take a step back. But the SEC, they could potentially add teams, and a lot of those teams regional-wise, Clemson and Florida State, but they've kind of already been told no. So maybe is that North Carolina? Is that Virginia? Is that Duke? Who knows what's going to happen in the ACC? Don't forget about Stanford right here, being all the way over in California, being in the ACC. Always funny to see. But comment below, what do you think this conference realignment is going to look like? Is the ACC going to be no more? What teams do you think will jump ship from the ACC to the Big 12? What do you think everything is going to look like? Eventually, I do think the Big 12 is trying to be, instead of making it a Power 2 where it looks like it's going to be the SEC and the Big 10, they want to make it a Power 3. And I feel like they've done a good job bringing in even group of 5 teams in UCF, in Cincinnati, in Houston, in BYU, even though BYU was independent. You know, they're trying to survive. They did a lot more than the Pac-12. Again, RIP Pac-12. Pour one out. Pac-12, Pac-10, no longer Conference of Champions. It's done. But what do you think will happen? Comment below. I want to hear. College football around the corner. I love it. It's one of my favorite things to talk about. I hope you do too. Comment below. Subscribe. Hit that like button. I appreciate you guys. This is the Daily Huddle. We'll talk later. Peace.